When it comes to getting more conversions from paid traffic on Facebook ads, there's really two things that I spend most of my time on. Number one is messaging and offers, and number two is creative. I've got a ton of content on my channel about messaging and offers. This video is going to focus a little bit more on the creative and specifically how to get around using video. Because yes, video is by far the most effective asset that you can use with really any marketing, but especially Facebook ads. But I'm a realist and we work with clients and I understand that not everyone has the time, resources, or ability to create good video content. So in a lot of cases, we have to use images, just images, to get conversions out of Facebook ads. Now there's a whole science behind how you can get images a little bit more perfected, a little bit more click-worthy, and get a lot more conversions out of your ads when you're using image-based assets. And in this video, I'm actually going to take you behind the scenes and share some really expert advice that I gave to one of my new media buyers, where he's trying to create images for one of our clients and how we can get more out of these images. So let's jump on over to my computer and I'll take you live into that email. The first thing we do with all of our clients is we put them through a very strict offer design process where we really fine tune the messaging and the positioning of the ads and campaigns that we're going to run. After we do that, we come up with a bunch of ad concepts, we write a bunch of copy, and then we start to map and assign creative assets to that. So what this email you're looking at here is from one of my new media buyers where we had all the ads done and he had a designer put together some ads. Now I'm not going to share with you the client, I prefer to keep them private, but they are a link building company specifically working with agencies to help them scale their link building campaigns. So these are some of the concepts that came back. Right? You can see that they're pretty straight graphics with some text laid on top of them. Now, a few things here. I don't really care too much about the illustration type. We've used literally hand-drawn memes to get really good results and drive millions of dollars in revenue. So the actual creative asset in terms of the level of creativity it's not what jumps off the page to me. To me, I'm looking at messaging and what the overall image conveys to the potential audience. So my first issue here is when we actually pop open one of the ad previews, what you'll see here is that the text is the same thing as the title. And to me, this is a waste of real estate. You never repeat the same text over again because you don't need to repeat yourself. This is very valuable real estate, right? When we're talking about somebody scrolling down the feed, what they're seeing before clicking see more is they get 2 lines of copy, right? They get the image or video, the creative asset, and they get the title. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're telling the story with these 3 different pieces and we're not repeating ourselves. Because if we're repeating ourselves, again, we're wasting incredibly valuable attention to get people to take action and click see more or get them to take action on the actual ad. So the first thing is we don't need text here, right? The more that we can convey with imagery, the better. Facebook did get rid of their 20% rule, meaning you can put as much text as you want on here now. They won't shut it down. But the type of text that we use, we have to be very mindful of it. And rule number 1 is we never repeat ourselves. So if that text we're using, like you don't just take the same title and repeat in the image as the copy. We want to make sure that we're always spinning through different messaging and we're telling the right story from top to bottom too. So that's number 1. But number 2 for me, which is even bigger, is the image needs to convey an open loop. It needs to build curiosity. And that open loop needs to dig into the problem that we identified in the offer. We don't want to just make a statement. We don't want to tell them everything that they need to know. When we go with a line like this, how we solve tedious link building campaigns, we're basically telling them everything that they need to know. We're taking away that curiosity and we're showing them in their face kind of what the end result of the ad is. We want to keep that curiosity, that open loop, to get them to click more, to get them to take that next step. Because if we just tell them everything that they need to know, then the chances are they're probably just going to scroll by. They're going to identify whether or not that means something to them, and they're just going to keep scrolling if it doesn't. So we want to really build curiosity with open loops that gets them to what I call dangle the carrot to take the next step. Personally, I always look at YouTube for inspiration here. I find that YouTubers with their thumbnails, especially the top YouTubers, really understand this concept of open loops. You'll notice that they usually just use a very distinct piece of imagery, whether it's a picture of themselves or a picture of something that conveys some sort of emotion through that image. And the text that they use is always different than the title of the video. That text is very short, very punchy, and it's meant, again, to open a loop with the person seeing it, to pique curiosity, to get them to click on that thumbnail. Somebody who does this very well, you can look at my channel, I think we do it pretty well, but Alex Hormozy. Right, I apologize for the tiny little image here, but you can see what he does here is the title is How I Hacked My Brain to Feel Gratitude All the Time. And what he does very well is these before and afters. Humans just naturally love before and afters. We're drawn to it. And when you see that before and after, it conveys a certain transformation. So again, instead of saying how we did this, right, giving them the exact statement, you can show them through imagery that same transformation. So instead of how we transformed our link building, you can show them with imagery how they went from bad links to good links, or how they went from slow, tedious link building process to fast and easy link building processes, right? So you can see here again, his other image here that I have here too, how I would invest $1,000 of my 20s, and he has $1,000 to go into 100 million. So again, that transformation it's telling you, it's not how I invested 1,000 into 100 million. He's using the imagery in the open loop to convey that into peak curiosity. So the text that I wrote here is, instead of saying something literal like how we solve tedious link building campaigns, it could be something like a person pulling out their hair in frustration, split screened with that person in a Zen moment, right? So on the left-hand side, somebody pulling out their hair. On the right-hand side, somebody very Zen. Ideally, that same person in the same image. And if you want to add text, it could just be something like tedious links, right? Previous, before transformation, to easy or fast links after transformation. That's all we need. Instead of saying, this is how we did this, right? We're just creating that open loop, and we're saying, we're letting them self-identify with that problem. We're opening that loop, and we're piquing curiosity to get them to click and find out more and self-identify with that process. But again, if we just go all the way to the end and say, this is how we did it, yeah, it can be pretty effective. I'm not saying it's a bad loop, but I'm saying there's always better. And that little bit of better is the difference between a click-through rate of 1% and 2%, which literally means that we're doubling the eyeballs that we get on our offer and our landing page. And these are the small key things, man, I'm telling you, that make all the world of difference in your advertising campaigns. So that was just a quick look into the psychology of how we manage image-based creative campaigns when we can't create video for our clients. And again, it's not about necessarily the quality of the image in terms of the graphic or the image, whatever it is that we're doing. It's about creating that open loop, that piquing of curiosity, digging into the problem that we've identified with our hook, our copy, and our offer, and letting the image just represent that. And it's not about quality always, because I'm telling you, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on high production stuff, whether that's video or imagery assets, and the ones that always perform the best are the ones that kind of look like crap in comparison, right? So don't get hung up on that. What you really want to get hung up on though is messaging. What is it that you're trying to convey without saying it? How can you say more? How can you use that cliche, pictures worth 1,000 words? How can you do that, but use the right 1,000 words to support your ad? And as always, if anyone needs help with their ads or wants us to manage them, hit the link below, take you to my personal consulting site. I'm a bit of a fractional CMO, if you will. Can help out with anything in your business when it comes to marketing. You got marketing problems, like I like to say, I got plenty of answers to help solve. If not, just subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.